The long-standing oak tree twisted like a dead man's hand, along a fence line grown slack with age. Particular with old man's skin, the oak tree flaked away at the roots and the joints, branches coiling from the central body, buckled from age and the elements. Off to one side of the fence was an old house leaning against its foundation. The top of the house had collapsed under the northwest wall, exposing field stones dressed in rough concrete, swelling under the siding with a bland mass of a paunched belly under a stretched t-shirt. The house was slumped like a drunkard, oozing into his own skeleton. At a glance, a passer-by would assume the house was tipping over the edge of an abyss. There was no sinkhole or pit underneath the house to fall into, only clumped dirt spilling into the basement like an open grave. Soft walls of dark soil and clay lay pierced with fledgling tree roots. The house was simply folding into its own footprint. Ancient farmhouses built on foundations of fieldstone and crude mortar. Barns raised with rough-cut planks of lumber, dated from before the First World War, patched with post-war corrugated steel sheets and flattened fuel tins. Prefabricated homes from the 1970s scattered along hand-built houses from the century that was conquered west of the Mississippi, maintained with brick and bits of cinder block. Pools of cracked cement covering low spots in the dirt foundation floors. Houses of the previous century had entry into the basement through a trap door cut through an exterior wall. Houses made from stone, dredged out of the soil from plow blades of the previous century, were shadows of an age when the land was first tilled, when the surrounding earth was one vast grassland. Most trees were invasive species. Most animals were pests from the old world. The house was washed gray, the walls weighed down under a soggy color found at the bottom of bodies of dirty water. The windows and door frames had fallen out of square, some panes of glass cracked from the pressure of the shifting structure. Ruins under the haze of doomed atmosphere. The peeling paint was stained yellow from sunlight and dust. The wood siding under the paint cracked and crumbling, eroding with every change of the seasons, like the walls of an ancient canyon. The sun was a peculiar perpetrator here, degrading things made by man, the plastic, the paint, the mortar pinched between bricks. Whereas the sun inspired freshness and beauty from blossoms and spring leaves, it was nothing but antagonistic to things not of nature. But man is a product of nature, is he not? Thus, what he creates is likewise natural, no matter the manufacturer. The second-story windows facing south had grown hazy from neglect. Square-headed nails in the panes turned black under layers of cracked paint. The backyard was pockmarked with crabgrass and some thistle near where there had been a garden, with a few pockets of dandelion and wild daisies in full bloom where the sun always shined. Following the fence where the oak tree that was like a dead man's hand grew was a dirt road cutting through the center of town from the south, passing the trailer park, the nursing home, and the co-op before merging with Main Street. The road was possessed by the traits of the economics of agriculture: washboard and potholes, areas where the crushed rock had been smoothed away, deep ruts formed where tractors and heavy trucks pushed through during heavy rain. It was the economics of work. The roads broke down and weathered away simply from the lack of enough hours in the day and enough hours in a man's life to maintain them. Every hour and every penny was devoted towards the harvest, towards every activity which made the harvest possible, to combat the economics of starvation. The trucks were pushed to their limits. Tractors worked until they broke and were repaired. More often than not, this was a stalemate. Effort fighting time and time fighting effort, where neither gave ground. There was always a massive welder on standby, bolted to the back of a Ford or Dodge, welding gas and cables neatly packed away. The welder was built on the side of a gas generator so that a crack or stress fracture could be welded and repaired at a moment's notice, no matter where the repair was needed. A field in the middle of nowhere or along the side of a dirt road. Welders, mechanics, drivers, heavy machine operators, so many souls driven by the economics of the harvest. Not dollars, leather gloves, not pennies, steel washers and shims, not dimes or nickels, spark plugs and lug nuts.